morning and welcome. I am Amarachi Ubani. Tonight, NLC and TUC lead massive protests across the country against increase in electricity tariffs. Minister of Power, Works and Housing meets power distribution companies in Lagos, urges speedy rollout of prepaid meters to Nigerians. Federal High Court refuses to quash charges against former NSA retired Colonel Sambo Dasuki in the $2.1 billion arms purchase scandal. And at least 27 migrants die off the coast of Turkey in their bid to reach the Greek island of Lesbos.
And on business news tonight, Nigeria's former central bank chief, Muhammadu Sanusi, the emir of Kano, says the country's current exchange rate policies are doomed to fail.
And in sports news, Nigerian taekwondists miss out of the Rio 2016 Olympics after failing to pick a ticket at the African qualifiers in Morocco.
I'm Linda Akibe, and from Abuja, EFCC and the Ministry of Health defend their budgets in the National Assembly, ask for more funds from lawmakers.
There has been a wave of protests across the nation today as the Nigeria Labour Congress, Trade Union Congress, civil society allies and electricity consumers demonstrated against a 45% increase in electricity tariff. Here in Lagos, Ikeja, the state capital, came to a standstill as organised labour and civil liberties organisations embarked on a protest march. Our correspondent, Loretta Chiogo, who witnessed the protest, reports that authorities from the Ikeja Electricity Distribution Company tried to defend their service delivery.
In their hundreds, the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress have stormed the streets of Lagos to protest the increase in electricity tariff. They've called for more meters to be available to Nigerians and more supply of power before they can log on to the plan of the minister. The protest march kicks off from Ikeja bus stop down to Ikeja Electric.
The point cannot be overstated. Power, energy is so strategic to the industrialization and the well-being of the people. Therefore, the federal government must urgently review the privatization contract between it and Gencos and Disco.
The promise made in the MOU signed in 2013, November 1st, is that within 18 months, provision of meter for all consumers. And as we speak to you, action has not been taken in that regard. And they want to be in a hurry to stipulate and enforce outrageous increase. We are saying no to it. Outrageous increase is unacceptable.
The National Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC, had announced an increase in electricity tariff, and this has been widely defended by the Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Mr. Babatunde Fashola. The electricity regulatory body believes the regime of monthly fixed and outrageous charges would be a thing of the past with the introduction of a new billing system. This would allow consumers pay only for the electricity supply consumed. For instance, residential customers in Eko and Ikeja electricity distribution areas will no longer pay 750 naira fixed charges. Mr. Aigbe Olotu, the Chief Financial Officer, Ikeja Electric, tries to convince the labor union, but meets a brick wall.
If you move around our district today, we have documented on record because we have more than 50 installation companies working for us. As of today, we are installing an average of 11,000 meters a month. Yes. Across the I'm talking of my disco. I'm talking of the Disco.
What I'm saying is that it's okay, we agree with you that you have the list, but is it represented in true fact that all these meters are in homes?
I'm telling you, they are all in homes.
Can
Can you tell us the ones you remember? Which area?
We are all the way from Ejigbo, Akwonjo, part of Ikorodu. We are mixing in every location across the district.
The union insists on a reversal of the directive with a vow to continue more protests. Loretta Chiogo, Channels Television News.
In other states of the Federation, there were similar protests as members of the labor unions, led by their state executives, expressed concern over the new tariffs introduced by the NERC.
Massive protests taking place simultaneously across the country. These are members of the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria kicking against what they call the unwarranted hike in electricity tariff. This is what the protest looks like in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory.
The increase of between 40 to 65% on electricity tariff is not only outrageous. Looking at the current economic challenges, is actually out of proportion. And don't forget, this is the 5th increase in a row from 2012 to date.
It is not different in Kwara, north-central Nigeria. Unions were out as early as 6 a.m. to picket the Bado Electricity Distribution Company in Ilorin, the state capital. In the northwest, it's a different ballgame as union members blocked the main gate leading to the Kaduna Electricity Distribution Company.
Before you talk of price, you talk of demand and supply. There is already abundant demand, but there is no enough supply. But what we are witnessing increases in prices. So we want to use today to call on the president to prioritize the power sector reform so that there will be enough power generation.
Struggle, continue. Struggle, continue. And victory, and victory.
Also in the north and in Borno State, labor unions ejected workers from their offices. The situation was similar in the southeast and southwest, but in Osun State, students joined the protest train.
Social revolution! Social revolution! Social revolution!
In all the states visited, one thing is clear. Labor unions will continue to reject the hike until the federal government rescinds its decision, until power supply is adequate enough to justify an increased tariff.
Let's join now our correspondent Linda Kiwe in Abuja for more on the labor unions protests. Hi, Linda.
Hello, Amarachi. Now, joining me now on the news at 10 to assess this situation is the president of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Comrade Ayuba Wabwa. Many thanks for joining us on the news at 10, Comrade Wabwa.
Thank you very much.
Now, as we've seen in the last two reports, it's been a very busy day for the labour unions across the country. What are the major reasons for what happened today for the protest?
Well, the protest basically is about creating the necessary awareness and also seeking redress over the issue of the outrageous increase on the electricity tariff, which took effect from the 1st of February 2016. The increase is so outrageous because, if you recall, in the past 5 years, there has been consistent increase, but this one seems to be out of proportion, where the increase is between 40 and 65%. And looking at the economic challenge that a lot of Nigerians are facing now, is very obvious that the bill is not something that Nigerians will go with. And we have made the case that this issue needs to be reviewed, especially in the circumstance where meters are not made available, and the majority of Nigerians are billed through estimated billing. Certainly we cannot continue to pay for light that is not available, and therefore we have called on the attention of the relevant agencies of government, the regulatory agency, which is supposed to protect the consumers, and also our representative at the National Assembly, so that this issue can be addressed and Nigerians can then have a respite.
Now, don't you think that this would be, the increase in tariffs, will be in the best interest of Nigerians and the discos in terms of, providing more infrastructure in the country?
Well, this same reason has been advanced since the privatization 5 years down the line. The same reason for the increase. What we are saying is that Nigerians will be ready to pay for what they consume. But they should not continue to pay for light that they don't consume. This is the standard everywhere in the world. People pay for what they consume. Why should you ask me, for instance, to pay for wastages or lost in the process? So the sector has been privatized. Those that have bought the sector need to invest, provide light, and collect bills, but not through the system that they want to do. Because the justification to say that why the tariff has been increased is because they want the sector to perform. Don't also forget that recently there is also a loan that was given to them to actually develop the critical infrastructure that is needed by CBN. But yet, I think we are still on the same page. And don't also forget that this tariff is supposed to be increased yearly for the next 5 years. If with this quantum of increase, looking at the challenge in the economy, when the purchasing power of ordinary Nigerians have been reduced to virtually zero, I think it's not something that we can go with. And you can see the reaction of people, consumers.
What solutions, is the NLC and trade unions, what are you putting on the table?
Well, propose solutions on the table. First is that they must make meters available so that consumers will pay for what they are consuming. Two, they must also be ready to sanitize the system. First, the area of distribution. When they generate, they must be able to distribute to consumers so that they can now make profit and generate resources that can be able to defray their investment. But not the other way around, to now say, first, let us continue to increase the bill, even when there is no light. This will not work. And I think it also has to be gradual. For the past 5 years, it has been gradual, an increase of 1 naira, 50 kobo, 2 naira. But this time around, it's an increase of about, in some cases, 14 naira, 15 naira. And they say it's going to be yearly with the new multi-year tariff. So this is something that is not sustainable. It should be gradual, and also it should be in tandem with what obtained in other spheres. In other spheres, what do they pay for a unit of consumption? That have to be balanced.
Now, if should the federal government insist on this, it's already on, what will be the next line of action for the
Well, certainly I think they have seen the reaction of Labour, especially the fact that meters are not available. Certainly it's not something that we are going to take lightly. Our organs will meet to then decide the next line of action. But certainly we are not going to take it lightly because governance is about the people. And therefore, even in the law, it's provided that there will be due consultation with relevant stakeholders, including consumers, before arriving at a hike. Right. And I want to state clearly that this consultation, in line with the provision of the Act, have never taken place. Right. And most critical stakeholders have not been consulted. What they did was a state-managed consultation with interest groups, such as even the DISCOs and the JONCOs themselves, and then arrive at a hike, which now Nigerians are reacting to it.
Okay. Thank you so much, Comrade Waba, for joining us on the News at 10.
Thank you very much.
Now back to you, Amarachi.
Thanks a lot, Linda. In part 2. And in part 2, after the break, more on today's nationwide protest. The Executive Director, Association of Electricity Distributors, joins us in the studio for further discussion. Please join us again.